everyone, welcome to another Procreate tutorial. Today we will be drawing this fun honey jar with some bees and a fun honeycomb pattern on the background. This one is super simple, lots of fun techniques, but lots of just flat, easy colors, lots of just easy, quick shape layers. So great for beginners, great for intermediate, great for advanced if you want something just kind of fun and relaxing. And what a cute result we get. So I hope that you enjoy it. If you are new here, I mainly post Procreate tutorials, so if that is something you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe. I also have extra tutorials available over on Patreon. So if you want to support me over there, you get access to exclusive tutorials every month and sneak peeks to everything that we draw over here on YouTube. So that is linked in the description below if you'd like to check that out. And before we get started on the drawing today, you will just need the color palette and the custom font if you want to use the same font that I have. It's not a standard font, so you'll need to download both of those. So they're linked in the description below. They're totally free to download. For the color palette, just save it to your iPad and then double tap it or click on it and click open in Procreate so that you can use the same colors as you follow along with the video today. And for the font, you can save that to your iPad, and I think you can double tap it and it'll import it, or you need to add a layer of text to a file, double tap it to bring up the font menu, and then click import font, and you can find the font where you download it there, and it'll import it that way. So whatever works to get your font in. If you need help with that, you can Google it, I'm sure, to get a better step-by-step guide. I will also post the canvas dimensions, color profile, and layers needed on the screen and in the description below so that you can use those to set up your canvas. So take a minute to get everything ready and then come back and we'll get started. Okay, this is the color palette that we'll be using today, so let's just go ahead and get started. We're first just going to set our background color. So to do that, we'll go to our layer menu. Click on this background color layer to open up our options and set it to the first color on the first row of the color palette to fill our background in with that color. Then on our layer menu, we're just going to be on layer 1, and we're just going to go straight ahead and start our jar. So we are going to grab the first color on the second row now. We are going to be on our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab at 20%. And we are just first going to start with a few ovals that we're going to line up. So we're going to have an oval for the top of the lid, the top of the jar, and the bottom of the jar. We're going to line all of those up directly on the center, and then we'll turn on symmetry to make the rest of our shape. So we want our ovals all like the same and lined up first. So we're just going to start towards the center of the screen here, and we're going to create a nice flat oval like so. Hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth, and then touch your finger on the screen to set it perfectly horizontal. So it'll snap to these different angles. We want to set it to this horizontal angle. If yours turned into a circle, that means you just drew it too close to a circle. So just redraw it more oval-like so you can get a nice horizontal oval. Set it to just a decent size. We can still change the size and stuff, and then fill that in. So then we can grab it with our arrow tool, and now we can set our size. So either on uniform or freeform, we can change the size. Freeform if we want to change the skinniness of it or the width of it, or uniform if you like the proportions, you just want to change the whole size. We're going to go a little bit smaller than this just in general, so maybe more like this size to start. So, and again, maybe a little bit skinnier also. So maybe something kind of like this, nothing too crazy. I would say I take up a third to half of my screen. Like if I drag it over here to the edge, it's maybe about as wide as half of my canvas, and then pretty skinny from top to bottom. Okay, then we're going to turn snapping on in the bottom left, and we're going to snap it to the center of our screen here. And I'm maybe a little over halfway from top to bottom. So if we drag this down, our vertical yellow line will hit this horizontal yellow line also. We're going to be a little ways up from that, maybe about here. Then on our layer menu, let's make a duplicate of this oval. So slide to the left and hit duplicate. Okay, so be on this top one here, and we're first going to recolor it to be the top of our lid color, which is more of a creamy color, this fourth one on the second row. So grab that color and just drag and drop to fill this in. Then grab it with your arrow tool on uniform, and I'm going to downsize it a little bit and then recenter it on the center yellow line. And then for our lid, it's just going to be maybe like a small gap above our other oval will be about the height of our lid, but still on that yellow vertical line. So something about like this. Then on our layer menu, we're going to make another duplicate of this smaller oval now for the bottom of our jar. So slide to the left and hit duplicate on that one. Grab the bottom one this time. Let's go ahead and grab it with our arrow tool, and we'll just drag it down before we recolor it. We will recolor, but let's drag it down quite a bit till we're about a quarter of the way up our canvas here at the bottom, from the bottom, and downsize it a little bit more, recenter it. Maybe something like this. So again, on our yellow line, and now let's grab our gray color again, first one on the second row, and fill that one in. So now we have our cream color and our two gray colors all on our vertical yellow line. The biggest one being our top gray one. Then we have a kind of a medium one and a smaller one. Layer menu, let's go ahead and snap our two gray ones together. That's why they are on top of each other. So our cream one is at the top of our layer menu now by itself. And now we're going to finish our jar. So we're going to turn on Symmetry to draw the sides of it. So to do that, we'll go to our gear icon. Under Canvas, click to turn on the drawing guide, click Edit Drawing Guide, and set it to Symmetry. You should see a vertical line here. If you don't, you can find vertical under the options here, and then go ahead and click Done. Then on our layer menu, this layer that we're on should say Assisted. If it doesn't, just click on it and turn on Drawing Assist. And then we're still on our grayish color, first one on the second row, still on our monoline brush at 20%. And I am going to start, I like to draw on the left side, but you can draw on the right side if that's easier for you. But I'm going to start kind of coming off the top of the top oval here and kind of round it and then bring it down to meet up with our bottom oval. So I'm just going to start right on the edge there, curve, and then down, and hold that down until it turns perfectly smooth. And then click this Edit Arc button at the top if you need to. You can just kind of adjust it a little bit. So yeah, I want it to kind of come off and get pretty round and then kind of more straightish when we get towards this bottom oval. Make sure it meets up nicely at the top into a smooth kind of shape. And then we can go ahead and fill this in. And that is our jar. If there's any kind of like points like this that are kind of missing or need touched up, go ahead and touch them up. But that looks great. Now let's go ahead and finish our lid. So to do that, we'll go to our layer menu, find this top layer with our cream colored oval on it, slide to the left and hit duplicate, grab the bottom one. With our arrow tool, we're not going to resize it, but let's just drag it down a little bit till we're a little bit below this one. Not quite on top of our other shape yet, but just a little bit above that, still on our yellow line. Maybe something about like this. Okay. Let's grab our fifth color on the second row, slightly darker than our top lid color was, and drag and drop to fill in that bottom oval there. On our layer menu, let's click on this layer and turn on Drawing Assist. Same monoline brush, and first let's connect our sides in a perfectly vertical line. So I'm just going to start on the edge of this bottom oval and draw straight up to connect to that top one underneath it. Hold it down until it turns perfectly straight, and then touch your finger on the screen to make it perfectly vertical. And then we'll just kind of fill the rest of this in with our brush, so that kind of makes our lid. And then we need the little flouncy piece that comes off of it, the kind of like little cloth piece. So I'm going to start at the edge of this jar, right where the bottom of it is, and I'm going to kind of come out and then kind of do a curvy wave kind of down till we meet in the middle, something kind of like that. So that's kind of the idea. If we want to just do it again to make it a little smoother perhaps, but just make sure that you cover the edge of the jar nicely. But redo it a couple times if you need to. Maybe something like that. And then it's connected to this bottom of our lid, so we can go ahead and fill that in as well. Now we can go ahead and let's just finish this jar really quick by making our little ribbon with our bow. So on our layer menu, let's just add a new layer above the one we're on right now. Grab our next color in line, sixth one on the second row, And we're not going to turn on symmetry. I'm just going to draw a nice curved line right around the bottom of this, like right where our straight line meets our little cloth piece. So right there, I'm going to draw a curved line from this end to this end, right where those two pieces come together. So I'm right at the corner there, right at the corner there. I held it down until it turned perfectly smooth, and then I'm going to click this Edit Arc button at the top and adjust it a little bit. So I drew it in a kind of curved line. So if yours turned to a straight line, you can click the line button at the top and it might give you the arc option, or redraw it so you get a kind of curve. But then I just want it to curve pretty shallow like our lid is. So I'm going to kind of try to match the curve of that top oval there as best as I can. Doesn't have to be perfect, but something similar like this. Pen tool again, same layer. We're just going to draw a quick little bow towards one of the sides here. So towards one of the sides, I'm just going to do like a quick little bow like this with some little ribbons coming out. Very simple. If you need to, you can move this layer above our top oval layer, like in case your bow goes above it. That's totally fine. We can adjust that on our layer menu to go above it. So that is a good order for those. Okay, then on our layer menu, let's just group these layers together so that we know where we are. So the bow, slide right on the oval, slide right on the little flouncy piece, and click group. And then we can click this arrow to minimize it, and that is our lid. Let's go back to our layer 1 that has our jar on it and add a layer above that. And this is where we will draw our honey. So let's go ahead and grab our first honey color, the second one on the second row, same monoline brush. And we're going to draw the top of the honey first. So it's going to be another oval. So a pretty skinny oval like so. Hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth. Mine turned into a line. I'm going to do that again. Okay, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth. Touch your finger on the screen to make it perfectly horizontal. Set a good size. Doesn't matter, we'll move it around, we'll resize it. And then go ahead and fill it in. Arrow tool on uniform or freeform if you need to adjust it. You can make it skinnier from top to bottom, wider from left to right, but let's go ahead and center it also first. So center it on our center yellow line. I'm leaving a little gap underneath my little flouncy piece at the top here. Something about like that. But then we want to leave just a small gap around the edges. So I just have a small gap on the left and right side where we still see our glass color. So that's kind of what I'm going for. Okay. Layer menu, let's make another duplicate of that. Slide to the left and hit duplicate. Grab the bottom one. Grab our darker honey color, now the third one on the second row. Drag and drop to fill it in. You won't see it because it's behind this other one. But if we grab it with our arrow tool on uniform, let's go ahead and drag it down to the bottom here. Downsize it quite a bit. Switch it to freeform if you need to at all, but it should fit kind of nicely at the bottom here. So if we center it on our yellow line and then just leave a small gap at the bottom again. Okay. Layer menu, let's click on this layer and turn on drawing assist so that we can use symmetry, same color, same monoline brush. And I'm going to connect these with a curved line from underneath this to this. Hold it down till it turns nice and smooth. Click the edit arc button or the line button if you need to adjust it. Set it to an arc first and something like this so we have another small gap all the way around. Okay, then I'm going to connect this so I can fill it in. So I'm going to connect it from here underneath my top oval there till it meets in the middle. Should connect so we can fill that piece in. And that is our honey inside our jar. Awesome, that looks great. Now let's go ahead and add a highlight and shadow to this. And first of all, we can go ahead and snap these two layers together onto one layer. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask so that we're clipped to this jar layer because we're going to make a couple more clipping masks. So add a new layer, click on it and set it to a clipping mask as well. Click the N and we're going to set it to soft light. We're going to grab our base color again, first one on the second row. And we are going to create a little highlight on the top kind of left side. So I'm just going to create kind of like a little blob here, pretty quick, pretty smooth. Just a blob and fill that in. Okay, now we'll make a shadow. So layer menu, new layer, click on it and set it to a clipping mask, click the N, and this time we're going to set it to multiply. We're going to use the same color, same brush. Let's first make a shadow on the right side here. So I'm going to start kind of a little ways in from the right side underneath my little cloth here. Make a curved line going this way, kind of hold that down. Click edit arc if you need to kind of adjust it. Something maybe like this, kind of following the shape of our honey jar. And then I need to connect that shape to fill it in. So I'm going to draw around here, around the edge, and to the bottom to make a shape to fill in on the right side there. On the same layer, we're going to make a shadow underneath our little cloth, and that's going to be in a darker color, the third one on the bottom row. Okay, so same brush. I'm just going to tilt my canvas a little bit to help me, but I'm going to kind of go like right underneath it here. And then over my other color as well to make it darker there. Again, I'm going to connect around so I can fill that in. It might not fill in this right side, so I'm just going to color in that with my brush to color over the other color that I had there so that it is also darker. So go ahead and touch that up anywhere you need to, but that looks great. It's a little bit dark. I'm just going to lower the opacity on it a little bit. So on my layer menu, I'm going to click the M here and lower the opacity to maybe like 80%. I think that looks better. Okay, so that is our highlight and shadow layer. So now we can go ahead and make our label. So let's go ahead and add a new layer. We're not going to set this one to a clipping mask, just a normal layer. Let's click on it though and turn on drawing assist, but now we're going to change our symmetry as well. So under the gear icon, under canvas, click to edit the drawing guide, and we're still under symmetry, but under options here, let's go ahead and select quadrant. And then I'm just going to drag this straight down a little bit, this blue button straight down a little bit, till we're roughly in the center of our jar, kind of. We can still move the label around, but let's just place it here so that we get a better place to start. And go ahead and click done. So again, this layer says assisted. Let's grab our first color on the last row of the color palette. Same monoline brush. And let's go ahead and get started. So a little ways up and quite a ways over from my center line. I'm going to start about there. So not as tall, but a lot wider. Draw a circle. Hold it down, touch your finger on the screen to make it a perfect circle. Pretty small, something like this. Then we're going to make curved lines on the right and left side. So I'm going to start on this top right circle on the far right side and draw kind of a curved line towards the center. Hold that down till it turns perfectly smooth. Click the arc button and we can kind of move it around, but we just want it to line up nicely with the circle and create a nice smooth arc from top to bottom. Okay, and then same thing through the middle. So I'm going to start at the topmost point of this top right circle, arc towards the middle, hold that down. If it turns into a straight line, click the line button and see if it gives you the arc option. If it doesn't, just draw it again a little curvier till it gives you that. But again, line up nicely with our circle and then in the middle so it kind of comes to like a smooth arc, something kind of like this. Then we can go ahead and fill it all in. So let's fill in the main piece and the circle. Touch it up anywhere if you need to with your brush or an eraser even, whatever works. But that is our label. Now we can go ahead and grab it with our arrow tool on uniform. We can resize it. I might make mine a little bit bigger. You can switch it to freeform if you want to make it taller or skinnier or wider or anything. And then let's go ahead and center it on our center yellow line because it might be a little off of our symmetry line. Our symmetry line, since we moved it, might not be perfectly centered. So let's make sure to perfectly center it on our vertical yellow line. And then yeah, I'm just going to place it here on the center-ish of my honey jar. Maybe a little higher than center is fine. Something like that. Now we can go ahead and add our text. So to do that, we're actually just going to go to our gear icon and click add and click add text. And it will automatically add it on a new layer. Let's go ahead and I'm just going to grab it and move it down here so we can see it better. It's in the same color as our label, but down here it'll be better. Let's tap it. Double tap it to select all the text change the color of it first to the second color on the second row by just grabbing the color selector and selecting that color. It'll change the color of the text since it's highlighted. And then with it still highlighted, let's bring up our keyboard in all caps, type honey, and then let's change our font. So double tap it again, click this font button to bring up our font options, and select the font that you should have downloaded, the Moonflower Bold font, or you can use any other font that you would like to. I'm going to change my size to probably like 80 to 90 points. And then my tracking, I'm also going to increase quite a bit to maybe like 20 or so. My size maybe even will do like, 90 to 95, somewhere in there looks good to fill up a nice portion of our label. Okay, then we're going to go to our layer menu, click on this text and click rasterize. That is going to rasterize it so it's more of an image. We can't change the font or the text anymore, but we can still resize it and stuff. So then let's grab with our arrow tool and let's center it on our center yellow line again, or wherever it's going to take us. You might see more blue lines because it's lining up with everything else now also, but somewhere there in the middle looks good. And then resize it anymore if you need to on uniform or freeform. And then we're also going to click warp, and we're going to make it taller in the middle. So right kind of in this top middle area on the edge, I'm going to drag that up a little bit. And then the bottom middle area on the edge, I'm going to drag that down a little bit, if I can grab it. So it kind of gets thicker in the middle and thinner on the edges. Nothing too crazy, but just something a little fun like that. Okay, we're almost done with our jar. We just need to add the glass highlights now. So on our layer menu, let's add another new layer. Grab this bright white color, fourth one on the bottom row. And we're going to switch our brush this time to the Studio Pen under the inking category. We're going to have the size of the brush pretty high, like 50% or so. But just right on the edge here, I'm going to push pretty hard and then let it kind of taper off into like a point like this. Do it a couple times if you need to get a nice kind of point that it comes to. And then I might do another one kind of on the top like this. Maybe on the other side though, start kind of right here and push and let it taper off. Something like that. Maybe a tiny bit at the bottom here as well. Okay. Then let's grab our eraser tool, which I'm also going to have set to the monoline brush, and let's make these top edges sharp. So we want to save the point, but then the other edge, we're just going to make it kind of flat. So just get rid of that roundness there. So it's more of a flat edge. And that is it for our little glass highlights. Okay, so now on our layer menu, we can group all of these layers together also now. So let's start with our glass highlights, slide right on all the other ones, and click group. And this is our group of jar pieces, basically. So we have our jar and our lid. Now we can add our bees. So let's go ahead and add those on a new layer at the very top. Grab our bright yellow color, fifth one on the bottom row, and switch back to our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab at 20%. And in this top kind of left area here, let's go ahead and draw a good oval. You don't need to set it to horizontal or anything, but hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth. You can click this edit ellipse button at the top to adjust it. I might make mine a little chonkier looking, something like that. It's at a slight angle like this, and then I'm going to fill that in. On my layer menu, let's go ahead and click on this layer and turn on alpha lock. Grab our second color on the bottom row, and same monoline brush, and now we're going to kind of recolor it. So the right side is going to be the front, so I'm going to start a little ways from that and make just a slightly curved line. I didn't hold it down, but you can if you would like to. Then I'm going to fill in everything towards the front. Then from there, I'm going to make a few more stripes, just slightly curved like that. Okay, then we'll add its eyeball, which is going to be in this dark black color, the last one on the last row, sixth in line. And we'll add a little eyeball for him. Now we just need his antenna and his wings. So on our layer menu, let's add a new layer below him. Same black color for his antennae, and we'll have a couple of those stick off. like this, so a line with a little ball on the end. Okay, now his wings. We'll add a new layer above him. Grab our bright white color, fourth one on the bottom row. And we'll start with a kind of like slanted line towards his body like this. And then make a wing off of that, so a nice curved line that goes from one to the other. Hold that down. Fill that in. Okay. If you need to resize it or rotate or anything, grab it with your arrow and do so. Might do something more like this. Okay, and then once you have that in a good spot, go back to our layer menu, click the on this layer, and we'll lower the opacity a little bit to maybe like 80% or so. And then make a duplicate of it. So slide to the left and hit duplicate. Grab either of them and drag it below our bee and the antenna even. Grab it with your arrow tool and then rotate it further to the right and drag it a little like further up his body so that we see it sticking out of the back there. So it looks like he has two wings. Okay, layer menu, let's go ahead and we can actually just snap all these together if you're happy with it instead of grouping them this time, like so. Slide to the left and hit duplicate. Grab it with your arrow tool. Let's first click flip horizontal, and this will be our second bee. We can move him, and I'm actually going to place him kind of on the top right corner of my lid there as if he's sitting there on our jar. Cute. Now we can go ahead and add the little lines behind them. So to do that, we'll go to our layer menu. Let's add a new layer below our bees. Same bright white color, same monoline brush at 20%. And I'm just going to start like from this bee, like towards his butt and go kind of in a curvy motion, something like that off the screen, nice and fast to get a nice smooth curve. Then we'll grab our eraser tool, also on the monoline brush. My size for that is at 50%. And I'm going to go through and I'm just going to create some little kind of dashes through the line. So I'm going to just try to be pretty even with them, as even as I can. Kind of turning with it as it turns. Anywhere where it overlaps, I don't want to have to try to erase that. That wouldn't make sense. So I'm just going to kind of skip over that part where it overlaps and then continue on all the way down till we're at the end or off the screen. Awesome. Okay, same thing for the other one now. Back to our pen tool, and I'll go behind him. I might move him down a little bit so that I have a little bit more room to work with. Back to my layer. Okay, so then maybe we'll do like a loop-de-loop up and off like this, something like that maybe. Then back to our eraser tool to make our dashes. Okay, so there's my two bees and my two little line thingies. We're almost done. We just need to make the honeycomb pattern and our little shadow underneath it. So let's go ahead and do all that. So let's add a new layer and just drag it all the way down below all of our layers so far. Let's first create the shadow underneath our honey pot. So to do that, we'll go to our color palette and grab the second color on the top row. Same monoline brush, and again, we'll make another big oval underneath our honey pot, a nice horizontal oval. So, nice, good oval. Hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth. Touch your finger on the screen to make it perfectly horizontal. If it snaps off, do it again. Okay, set a good whatever size so that we can fill it in. And then we can go with our arrow tool on freeform or uniform if you need to resize it, anything like that. And then let's go ahead and center it on our vertical yellow line. And this is going to be our slightly bigger one. Nothing too crazy, but just a little bit bigger than our next one's going to be. Just kind of center it there too at the bottom of our jar so that part of it is behind our jar and part of it's in front of our jar. Okay, layer menu, let's just make a duplicate of this layer. So slide to the left and hit duplicate. Be on the top one. Grab our third color on the top row and drag and drop to fill it in. Arrow tool on uniform. downsize it quite a bit and recenter it on our center yellow line. And kind of just in the center there from top to bottom as well. If you need to switch it to freeform to kind of skinny it up a little more, that works also. So it should look something like this now for our shadow. Now we just need our honeycomb pattern, so that is another pretty simple process. Let's go to our layer menu, add a new layer on top of our 2 oval layers there. Click on it and turn on Drawing Assist. Let's grab our gear icon, canvas, edit drawing guide, and let's just move this up. We're going to leave it on quadrant, but let's just move it up here somewhere and click done. Grab our 4th color on the top row, same monoline brush, and we're going to create a horizontal line a little ways up from the horizontal symmetry line. So starting on the left side of our vertical symmetry line, draw towards the center, something like this. Hold it down, touch your finger to the screen. Okay, we want there to be a bigger gap from top to bottom than our width is from left to right. And you'll see when we make the next line if it looks right or not. So let's just go ahead and try to complete our honeycomb shape. So from this edge, I'm going to draw to the center line, hold that down. So as you can see, it's just much wider on the top and bottom than these lines are able to be. So we just need to make those a little skinnier. So I'm just going to make some slightly skinnier lines, maybe not that skinny, but maybe more like this. And then let's try again to make that middle line to the center there. And that looks better. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. We can even fill it in, and then arrow tool on freeform, we can kind of skinny it up a little bit, but it changes like the proportion of it, so it's not quite perfect. So you can redraw it if you need to, but I think that is close enough to a honeycomb that I need to be. So I'm just going to use that. Again, with our arrow tool on uniform, you can change this size if you need to, but I think that looks good. I'm just going to go to my layer menu, make a duplicate of it. If we need to save some layers, we can snap our 2 oval layers on the ground together. We can even snap all of our B layers together onto one layer, so our 2 Bs with their lines attached. Okay, new honeycomb layer, slide to left and hit duplicate, arrow tool, and I'm just going to maybe drag it up and to the right. I don't want to go off the screen, but just there is good. Layer menu, another duplicate, drag it down maybe and just kind of try to line them up so they all have little spaces in between them, so we get kind of a little cluster like this. Layer menu, I'm going to snap those 3 together now. I like the way that they're all sized and spaced out. So now they're connected here so I can place them around. So I'll place that one there. I'll make a duplicate of that one, the whole group, arrow tool. I'll click flip horizontal maybe, and we'll drag this one maybe over here and just kind of place it over there. Layer menu, let's make a duplicate of the original one again. And maybe I'll drag this one kind of down here. So just drag a few of those around in the background if you would like to. You can make more of them. You can make more singular honeycomb shapes. So if you want a single one and it's already grouped, you can just with like, I'm on this one on my layer menu, I can use my selection tool on freehand and I can just select right through one of these gaps around one, grab it with my arrow tool, slide down with 3 fingers, and you can click duplicate. And that'll put a singular one on a new layer that you can then grab with your arrow tool and like place here. And then you can like make a duplicate of the single one and like place that over here. So if you just want some other singular ones, that works as well. So I might actually do one more of those. I kind of like the way that looks. Maybe I'll place this one here or something. And then I'm going to go to my gear icon, turn off the drawing guide so those lines go away and we can see our picture in full. And once that is done, that is it for our drawing today. So I hope that you had fun. I hope that you like the way that yours turned out. I hope that you maybe learned something new. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more tutorials from me in the future. If you would like to share your drawing on Instagram, I would love to see it, so go ahead and post it there and then tag me so that I can check it out. And while you're there, go ahead and give me a follow so that you can see what I'm working on next. Thanks for watching.